Hi everyone, I hope you're all well. This is going to be more or less a read on Sebastian energy and numbers that are connected. I wanted to lighten the energy around this. I actually recorded it yesterday, so yesterday would have been the 27th of April. As I started recording, 15 minutes in, I needed to pause and come back to it, and instead of pressing play on the camera setup, I pressed stop. So I continued reading, and then at the end I found it was only at the 15-minute mark, and I was extremely peed off, frustrated, because I was already frustrated, angry, and not angry, but it's heavy energy around this case, because like I said, there's so many polarities of people that are genuinely interested in the case, and that's like the people that have subscribed to this channel, and then there's people that are just regurgitating content and adding their 2 cents in, so things are getting really muddled. So I'm gonna do my best to do it again, because I thought it was pretty good read and channeling, and it does take energy, you know. You can probably tell from my throat that I was upset about it. And I don't know why right now I feel a bit emotional. I was okay when I started. Yesterday I just could not re-record it, because I was like, do I get the same cards out again? What do I do? So I'm going to do the same, and then you might see another part, or it might be, we'll see how far we get in this part, and I'll tell you what we're going to go through. And then the next one, if it's a separate part, I'm going to do a small part on the Nancy Grace interview that I've looked a little bit more in. It will be a short one. So if you've seen the impromptu part 9, the same day that I recorded the Madeline Soto part 3, I recorded that part 9, and Spirit, it's like I was led to record it. It was something I needed to voice and get out there. So I think it's something that's been going around. This would have been before any private investigators got their voice in, because my prediction is that the private investigators are probably not very welcomed, and law enforcement are not necessarily going to be over the moon with them being involved either. Now, one interesting thing is that the private investigator, and I did put in the comments in the last read, part 8, that I was getting the energy of a female. I think it's like private investigator. I'm trying to remember everything. I do have notes. I'm trying to remember everything. There's definitely something with my throat chakra here. It was fine. It was clear. It's blocking up now. One thing I mentioned in the read is that I know that the private investigator had said something that, you know, we know that, I think she mentioned last year that Chris and Katie were having relationship issues, and I don't know what else she mentioned, and I just thought, some of you might disagree with me, and that's fine, and we can disagree, but I didn't feel that that was appropriate to say. The reason is because it's not adding. If anything, it's adding friction. It's causing rife even further, and not only rife between the parties, but also for the other party, if they, you know, whatever it is, defense or guilty or whatever it is to feel even more defensive and want to have conflicts, basically, because it's kind of like needing to protect whatever may be hidden. So when I look at that, I was like, what's the point of disclosing that, especially at this time? I just didn't feel there was any need to say it, you know, like what have you really found out they had relationship issues? Is that because Seth told you? What is it? Like, what are you adding to this? I was kind of shocked that a private investigator that's what she's disclosed, because at the end of it, you want to know stuff more like the dog scent that was tracked. I know they've said it's legit, but another confirmation on that would be great. And maybe that dog scents can last for X amount of time. So it could be that day, it could be another day. Why would the dog scent be to the pond? It couldn't get it any further, so it just ran back or whatever. Like stuff like that, you know, just confirming to dissipate some rumors and stories. I just found that that was just so inappropriate. I've got no idea, and maybe some of you disagree with me. Similar to, I think some of you will disagree with me in terms of what I'm gonna say about the Nancy Grace interview, but I'm happy to stand alone in that. I did promise in the other reading that I will talk about timeline breakdown, and I will do. The only reason why I feel like if they did have a very long call, the precise time they mention is because I think if there is guilty party in this of a plan of a setup which we're seeing, disclaimer is applied, by the way, on all the videos. Use your own discernment, your own fact finding. Law enforcement's there to prove whoever's guilty, and everyone is innocent until proven guilty by the federals, the law enforcement. Just watching this flame because I feel like it wants to tell me something. So I'll be watching it because it was dying out before I started. As I lit it, I had it lit. I was like, okay, it's dying out, so I'll just get my spare candle on the side. And then I was like, actually, I want to see the flame rise. So it's interesting. Oh, I don't know why I'm getting two things here. I'm getting like scabs, and I'm also getting, you know, in, I don't know about in the US, but in the UK, you can sometimes get wild mushrooms in like woods or forests. I'm getting something around that, but this kind of scabby thing is making me feel sick, and it's making me feel like you really need to itch it as well. I know this sounds disgusting, and I feel like vomiting right now. I don't know what is about this now. So could it be that Sebastian had some scabs, or is it referring to what everyone's saying the stepfather was Sebastian's scratches or something? This seems like it's deep though. It's not only scratches, it seems like it's a bit deep. And I would need to pause and continue to connect to get further. So I'm going to leave that there and move on to what we want to say. There's something in it that's really making me want to vomit, and it's not because of what I'm seeing, but I literally feel like vomiting right now. I think I'm going to have to just not look. The other thing I wanted to say is that obviously I put a poll on the community and it is around 4K. I'm going to have to stop the video. I'll try and pause and come back in a moment. I feel like throwing up. I'm not going to, but I just need to pause a moment. Sorry. Okay, so I'm recording. Yesterday I had the same candle and it never gives me that kind of energy. I've changed the candle anyway. I might look at it again, but I feel so much better just by changing the candle that I had on the side. I've literally paused for like 30 seconds thinking, do I need to move? And I feel a lot better not looking at that. Could it be that there was wooded fire nearby in the woods? the signs of like, I don't know, there's a couple of things there. And I would need to sit and just concentrate on it, but I feel, I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry because the reason I'm doing this reading is to lighten the energy, but also keep Sebastian in mind. Although because of everyone in social media, this case is not going to die down. And I think to some extent, those that care about Sebastian, whether it's a mum, stepfather, dad, they have actually social media to thank for this, the people that are been rallying. Otherwise, all this upheaval wouldn't actually have occurred, just like other cases that are not having the same upheaval, like Elijah though is one that really pulls on my heartstrings as well. And obviously Madeline's is a horrible case, but you can see how this is planned out. The other thing I want to say, I still believe there's a panning out of time and destiny. There's a karmic cycle here, which means that even when you're trying to tap into the energy, you might get differentiated messages. And I'm just going to be honest, and some psychics might not tell you that, they might not understand that, they might be getting something different, and maybe their readings change, or maybe they just stick with what it is, because it's very easy to just put a prediction of what you think it could be. But I won't be surprised if you see like mixed messages coming in, or not precise dates and stuff like that. I have given a time frame of this, and the time frame is, and I've just been reminded by Spirit, look at my throat, it's feeling a lot better. There's definitely something in that energy of the candle, and I feel like I'm talking on a robot right now, although I'm not reading, I'm just sat back saying what I need to say. So interesting, look at the energies of the difference of energies. And again, I can slow the pace down and I can just come back into a different energy, but I just want you to see like how things can be different. But even when I look back now, I'm reminded again in the last reading, at the end, Sebastian wanted to come through, didn't he? And the last few cards were very karmic, but I didn't want to touch into them, because when you hear karmic, you think it's like an effect to a cause you did on the negative side, and that's not it. We are always in a karmic cycle. So when you give someone or donate to someone, or you give someone a smile, there's a karmic cycle that will come back to you. It can be good, it can be positive, and we have karmic cycles with past lives, and we have karmic cycles with people who, are in our family line, for example. Past lives is still a very interesting one that I never used to want to get my head around it, the reincarnation and past lives and all that. And I think it's something that just can go on forever. I mean, some of the things that people say about past lives, when do you put a stop to it? So it's very sensitive, but this is why finding the exact place. And also, I'm not channeling only on this case. So if I were to sit back and only take on this case, like, for example, Maddie and Nicola Bully, you'll find that a lot of the times I'd come back with channeled energy, but I'm not doing that. And I'm taking you on a road of just probably a different way of everyone reading. And in this one, I want to keep the energy light, but I want to talk about Sebastian being at the forefront. And like I said, in the next one, it might be about the Nancy Grace interview. So before we go ahead, the other thing that I wanted to mention is the poll on the community page, which I started mentioning. Now, we look at 4 cases there, and 82% last time I checked it, which was yesterday, 82%, 29 votes. Yes, it's very low, but the channel is very small. Still, 82% of 29 means that a lot of people, including myself, think that the caretakers, and the caretakers I've explained in a previous video, please do watch them, because I get comments about timelines, I get comments about findings, I get comments on stuff that I've done already on Sebastian in previous parts, or someone comes along and thinks they're clever clogs and they put a comment and someone else clearly has not seen the videos and it's like, oh my god, really? And I'm just looking at like this comment, what have you brought new to the table? So it's up to you if you wish to, but also the comments is not a section of exchange when you've not even paid attention to the content. And obviously those are rare people and probably not subscribers. I also want to talk about the report, but let's go back to poll community. So the cases that I mentioned, and included myself, so that would probably be, an additional to the 82%, believe the caretakers caretakers are involved, know how, or, you know, it's at their hands of what's happened to these children. Now, the difference between these children is that I would say Summer doesn't have someone to speak for them. William doesn't have someone to speak for them. Sebastian, thank God we've got all this going on. And there was also Maddie McCann, who sort of have people speaking to them. And again, I think it's about that time when one is that one that funds it as well. Is it Grange something? They're probably going to start coming out with stuff like that, just like they do with John Benet Ramsey. Now, so yeah, so apparently the 82% are off their absolute knockers. But really, when you think about it, no one commented no, right, to anything. There was 4 options: yes, no, absolutely not. And then there's 2 and 2, so 2 yes, 2 no. I'd love if you think 2 yes, 2 no. I'd love to know which 2 are no, which 2 are yes, and just make the initials without putting the full name, because there's a couple of those that are on there that are trigger sensitive, and that's why I've tried to be careful. I don't know why, I don't know if it's tie-in, but for some of them I know that there's a tie-in there. And there's also, I forgot the word which I got down to in one of the cases that has separate for older, where you don't, you shouldn't, you know, they don't have to disclose certain information. And I think that's also in terms of the parents being questioned in a certain way or asked for certain information. There's like a bond of that, and yeah. So anyway, and then the other one is I still don't know, or I don't know what to think. Okay, and that got the second highest. So the first highest was yes for all 4. Second highest was I don't know, I still don't know what to think, and 2% less than that, I think it was 11%, and 2% less than that was what do you call it? 2 and 2, and nothing for no. So apparently, you know, people are off their absolute rockers for thinking that. So I have to bring it back to this case. So people are off their absolute rockers for thinking that the parents, either all, either 2, and there's camps of separation between the parents as well, because I'm also including step parents here, know something or have been involved. That tells you something. The other thing I wanted to mention, and is probably by unpopular mentioning, that as a psychic you can get connections with previous or future cases, but I'm trying not to get irritated here, but I am a channel of my values in life in general is respect. And I went on about this yesterday because I saw a comment by someone who I did not like, and someone that then interacting, and I told the person, you're a bit disrespectful. It wasn't towards me, but what they were trying to say using the channel, although it's very small. You know, come on, say hello, say your 2 cents, but not to just throw out like a paragraph as if it's a newspaper. So, you know, I feel like, I don't feel like 2 of my values in life are respect and honesty, and I cannot stand either of them not being in place, which means that I honor and stand back by those. And where am I going with this? Oh, okay, so because the case is messy, and maybe it's happened with other cases, there might be readers, there might be psychics who start to say, oh, I got this in this reading 4 years ago. I'm giving an example. It seems like it might connect to Sebastian's case, or I got this name, or I got this location in Sebastian's case, but actually it seems like it might be for a future case, or this or that. That does happen, but you can't continue to state those things in everybody's case and then validate your case predictions from other cases and saying, oh, I thought it was for this case that I've done like 2 years ago, but it seems like I was predicting it for where Sebastian is, or something like that. Let me know in the comments if that's starting to happen, but like I think there's a limit of like how much you can do that and play on that. Like, it does happen, I'm not saying no, but like not every single bloody reading or validation do you go back to cases, because I'm sure like a lot of people can go back, or I can go back to cases that I've done even with clients on the YouTube. There's not much there, but you know, and I can connect it. Oh, I need to validate this because, and I don't validate much because, you know, I'm one person doing everything, but I need to validate this by posting and then saying it connected to this. I got the C in this case, or look, it was X person that's found in the C. That's just the most simple example that I'm saying. So I think, you know, I don't want to elaborate more, but I think you know what I'm saying. It's down to yourselves to see what fits with you. Oh. Let's break the energy. Like, if you need to close your ears, I'm just going to ring the bell. You can turn the volume down. I'm going to ring the bell. Okay, so what I did yesterday is I was tying Sebastian's, I wanted to tie in Sebastian's number energies with Sebastian and the cards, okay? So that's what we're going to do today. And then I actually went through the months of his energy, and it very much tied in with everything we've had in the previous reads that I've done, as well as what I've stated, and also what I get with the numbers that I'm doing now. Firstly, Sebastian's energy would have been connected to sort of 11, and it would have also been connected to similar energies of a life path too. So what I did is we're going to look at the 11 card in the tarot, and this is the Justice card, okay? So I've got the Rider-Waite Tarot deck out, and I'm just going to look for the Justice card. Just going to, while I do that, mix them up because I'm seeing some of the cards we get usually. So let's just, don't know why they're clubs. Unless it's purposely, Spirit is kind of telling me I can tell the story from these cards that are coming up right now. Second card I want to talk about. That's it. Okay. The other thing is, I asked if Sebastian was a reward, yeah? So a subscriber kindly responded saying, I'm sure there is, and then someone else has responded kindly with a few points actually, and I really appreciate you taking time out and adding those points. I will acknowledge, if I don't, by the time you see this reading, you've probably already seen that I've acknowledged you. I appreciate you, thank you. I'm not sure if you subscribed. I didn't check, but if you're not and you're liking the content, I do welcome you to join us. So look at these overall energies for his life. It's interesting, isn't it? We get Justice card. Now, in the last time when I spoke about numerology, I also tied in that there was a number that was indicating a lot of justice. Now, this also means that with the number 2, and we can take another number 2, it's just like, I don't want to, I just took one for an example, but if we took like the 2 of Pentacles, again, it's about balance, okay? So, but what I really feel in his life is that a lot would have been around relationships and the center of harmonizing relationships, and anything in his life being of center and harmony, relationships being of harmony, a balance. And we can see that here. What's interesting though, that kind of energy ties in with Libra. And yes, hold a minute, I know he's a Sagittarius, but I'm looking at numerology, which can affect your energy as well, okay? And also in the previous reads, I mentioned about February, certain seasons in February, and then I say about it is as that weekend happened, actually, we were moving out into a different energy, which would affect your rising sign a lot different to how it was. So those few days of like 23 moving into 25th is really interesting that it happened. I think there was definitely a lead up of pressure and tension over the last 3 weeks. And, you know, sort of, we'll look at it, but I'll also explain the energies I got for each month. So this is to lighten the energy, but keep Sebastian's name alive. So balance, right? Which also ties in with kind of what a Libra energy would be. This sword is up, it's not down yet, pointing down, and some tarot decks, they have two people here or a person here, and I presume when it's pointed down, that's when justice is served. So with the two, we get like, you know, a lot of would have been needed to be in balance for him. Him to be at comfort with the balanced of harmonized relationships. I think if the, you know, there was tension or an argument happening, you know, sometimes whether it's, I'm not necessarily going directly in this case, remember, I'm talking about Sebastian. I can't remember, what do you call it? I can't forget, just now, I've just been reminded, I don't know why, how this, what I was seeing in the candle was making me want to vomit. Anyway, it's not related, but just blurting out spirit reminding me for some reason. So look at everything in this card. There's about harmony. Look at this, ups and downs in life, ups and downs of the waves. So harmonization of relationships would have been really important to him. It's interesting because we also see it with the scales here. Neutrality and being in harmony. The harmony of relationships around him, needing to be in balance, would have helped him keep it balanced as well. Now, just before I forget, I also talked about, I've not heard much of this in the interviews, but with the parents, my throat is coming back again. With the parents, I'm sure they would have learnt this, but in general, Sebastian would have been someone that needs to stay busy. I feel like at certain times, though, he would be stubborn and rigid if he didn't want to move and he was playing on something. But in order to balance his, and he would have maybe been busy playing something. But on the days of frustration and balance, he would have needed to have some movement, needed to feel a bit excited of exploration, but a comfort there. So why did I say in the channeling, that comes across that he's a bit of a homebody because it's familiar. He knows his keys are here. He knows where his games are. He knows he can get certain stuff. He knows what to do. He knows that if he needs to, for example, take the garbage out, he'll put some flip-flops on. If he knows where, I always see him like in a sort of like either a grey or black sweater and black jog pants with black socks coming downstairs. And I channeled that kind of view as well, where I mentioned about suitcases. Can you remember in the channeling part 3? So I'm trying not to go into all over, but yeah. So where was I going with that, folks? Hang on a sec. Let's go back to before the vision came to me. This is what it's like when you open your channel. I know I was talking about harmony and I was talking about justice. Oh, sorry, we moved on to his energy. To help dissipate or control frustration or emotional upheaval. You know, sometimes whether it's kids or autistic, and he's not a kid, I understand that he's a teen, but I'm giving you an example without pinpointing, because some people might take it like I'm pinpointing like autistic children or teens play up. No, I'm talking about all children. You'll have a period of time where 1 week, like I've got no idea what's happening with their energy, but they're off the record, they're playing up. This week's a little bit more calmer. So, or there's emotional frustration through the mood. The key thing with him would be to keep busy, and also something around movement of the body and exploration. So where we hear that a neighbor said that he'd seen him walking around, which I find weird as well, because his parents never said he sometimes goes for a walk. And yet this neighbor says he's seen him in the past walk around. Maybe he's only seen him a couple of times, and maybe it was with one of his parental guardians or someone he knows, but because it was only a couple of times he didn't mention. There's a difference between, I see him, yeah, I've seen him in the past when someone walks by every 4 p.m. every day with the mother, then you would say, yeah, it's always with the mother, it's quite daily or something like that. So they'd add probably more details. So it's sometimes we can't, and also it's a dispatch call, so they might have just felt like that was irrelevant to put in the dispatch call. It's not first-handed information. So movement around that. Now, I haven't heard much about the outdoors, but like a bit of physical movement would have been important for his emotional balance and dissipate. And with that, either a familiar person like his parents with him. If it's a new place they're going, he would like that little bit of an exploration. Like, for example, you normally go to the corner park, but this time your parents are taking you to a park that's like 20 minutes away. If it was alone, he might not necessarily like it, and I don't think he'd, there's a difference between would he be capable, but like with his parents there, he might feel that sense of excitement, and then in the park there's movement. I hope I'm getting this energy, this message across, and that would have been key to manage those difficult days and also manage the emotions. I presume that, so for example, even playing in the garden, but as a teen, obviously you get older and you want different stuff. I know that they've said he was a bit young and in his characteristics or what he would do. So which means that still there could be some stuff or, some kind of hobby or activity. But yeah, physical movement would have been soothing, would have helped. And maybe that does come out in the future. I mean, they're not going to necessarily have to disclose those sort of things, but I haven't heard anything about outdoors or that kind of stuff. So now this second part is where I'm going to look at the numbers. Okay, and I'm not taking any, so you might see some readers that pick energy through picking a card like this. I actually was testing it yesterday because I do pick up on energy, and I wanted to do it differently for a client and some other case I'm working on. Anyway, so you'll see some people that do it like this, and they might feel the energy. There's some people that just do it and like, I'll pick one card just intuitively where it goes, But I do that one. Most of the time I do the one where I ask spirit out for the cards that I need to come out. So in this one, what we're going to do is any flip outs I'm not taking. At the moment, I am just shuffling the cards. And then I'm going to say, when we get to the top, I'm going to take the numbers I need. And the first number I need is the 7th card, and I'm going to show you what we're going to do. So like I said, until all this is completed, I am not taking any flip outs so that we have a fair thing. And the first number I need is number 7. And we're going to add to the energy. So let me just see. Just do one more time. Seventh card. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right? The next one is I need a number 3. I'm going to split again. Shuffle a little bit. There's no need for too much because obviously we've shuffled. This game I'm going to take the 3rd card. And on the last one, I'm going to take the 1st card. Okay, so numbers that are included. Just trying to make sure I'm covering everything I did yesterday. I can't remember what I got yesterday. They were different cards though. Guarded, okay. A very guarded energy. So I think this is where we can see that if he's put in unfamiliar situations, he'd be very guarded, all right. Maybe it's around social acceptance, just in general feeling maybe on edge, and maybe other people would be a little bit guarded. But for example, I've got these stones here. If you had to pick one that was just not the most nearest to the rest, you'd probably pick this. So it's kind of similar, all right? A very guarded energy, yet a very fire energy, and he was a Sagittarius, okay? This is also probably sometimes could lead himself to exhaustion. Maybe that's through emotional outbursts, okay? Sometimes there's a lot of clouded, and it's interesting, this card came up yesterday for a clarifier. I'll tell you which one as we go along. But Spirit was coming in and connecting it with me saying, if you remember my previous reads, something about his brain, something about I could feel fluid, not feel fluid, but fluid coming down. And eventually it came out and someone wrote on the comments that he has, sorry, I don't know the diagnosis, but fluid in his brain. So that's what I feel. And like, I think he was overwhelmed and confused at some things within life. And you know, kids in general, they see things with some things with rose tinted glasses. But I also feel this was around emotions of energies that were around him that sometimes were full of love, and sometimes it wasn't the same. There was something that was very confusing to him, all right? This is very much the energy of walking away. And if you look at these cards, all of them are singular loner cards, right? I mentioned that in the energy, and this is the energy of kind of like walking away. It's the energy of had enough. And it's interesting because I'm trying not to tie it to the case, but here, one thing I looked upon when I was looking at the time frames they mentioned, I was looking at sunset, when it gets dark and when it gets light in February in Nashville, in their area. And the timings are more or less show you that it's dark. And here I am getting reminded to that cycle of when it's light and when it's dark. So maybe that also had an implication on him and his energy. But I feel like sometimes he might have felt like I was going to say, I didn't want to say rejection because I don't want people to get emotional about stuff. But Spirit is bringing the word out of place for me. Now, here we've got fire, but we've also got cups here. So a lot around his emotional and his balance around emotions was very important. And we saw that in the first few cards we got as well. So that's a little bit about Sebastian. What I want to do now is I'm actually going to look at his energy. Don't forget, if you like this, give it a like, subscribe, support the channel in any way you wish to. Comment, engage, subscription and likes don't take anything. And if you're enjoying the content, why not? You can also donate to the channel if you felt called to. So now we're going to look at December, January, February. And this is the part where I hate redoing my work. I hate it. I love the first reads and that's it. And I don't even go back to read. When I've not watched any one of the parts that I've done, replayed it or anything. Even when I process, I go to the beginning. I just make sure that the voice, the sound and everything as I go through, as I scroll through, and then at the end I make sure it's fixed, and then I just make sure there's no bloopers along the way, but I don't listen to anything. Okay. The way I'm going to do this, I'm taking 2 cards for each month. I might ask for a clarifier. It's interesting this one came out. It came out yesterday. December, January, February, and I'm going to also tell you the cards I got yesterday because I felt they were very significant. Let's look at January, please, for it. Sebastian in January, Sebastian in January. Sebastian in February, please, Spirit. Sebastian in February. Just put that on the side because it flipped. So yesterday I had the Queen of Wands. Ooh. I had the Queen of Wands, and what did I have as well? I can't remember the other card that was here. Anyway, for this I want to pull a clarifier, but we've got Sebastian here, by the way. This is Sebastian's energy now. Very fiery energy in December. I presume there's a lot of butting heads. Let's just see. And the clarifiers, I pulled the World card as well, which had made sense because he, it was his birthday, wasn't it? But I'm going to try and just focus on this so I don't mix the energies. So I wouldn't be surprised if an ultimatum or some kind of walking away was discussed in December. Priorities and balancing of stuff. I don't know if Sebastian moving to his father was discussed in December. I also think there might have been something between, the mother and the stepfather. It could be sort of a hidden tactic from one of them, but something possibly of movement and moving away, or movement overall. Okay, so there's definitely, I think he, I mean, we know that he lived with his mum and stepdad during that time. So his presence is here, okay? I feel like he was very much in his element in December, to be honest with you. But sometimes I felt like he had a regression into maybe being a little bit more his age, just, maybe not necessarily a 15-year-old, a bit younger. And that's what a page would be, because he's not in his 20s. So, that what I'm seeing is normal energy. But I wonder if also there's something in December that he actually apologized for. I also see here that his mum was in quite a good energy during this time as well. His stepdad was quite harsh. And so I think there was words of leaving, or him leaving, or maybe Sebastian getting a new opportunity to go live with his dad. Something around that is actually coming through. Now, the overall energy that I get here, and I'm trying to keep it Sebastian, but obviously when you're living with people, it can move, and it can sort of connect to other things. I mean, it's just to get better insight. Here, as opposed to being an illusionary, it was a very focused energy. There was a lot of desire and determination overall in December in their energies, which is interesting. So I wonder if this was a desire from the mother and stepdad to make things work, because there was movement here. There was movement. I mean, it could be that the stepdad was away for most of December, but I do feel like there was movement. So whether it was like him you know, about talking about the relationship. And I'm trying not to tie it in with trouble in their relationship, because that's what the PI said, but I'm just giving it overall. Sebastian would have been in quite a good energy, So let's just get a couple of more on Sebastian's energy, because I feel like there's a bit of trouble when I see this Six of Swords. Just 2 cards. Yeah, so we got the Eight of Cups. We've got that Eight of Cups. Can you remember in the energy read? And we've got it here and we've got this. I thought this would come out. So behind the scenes, there is an energy of walking away. And I think Sebastian might have actually threatened that he wants to walk away. I don't feel it was them saying you need to leave. I feel like at this point in time, he was realizing, can you remember in one of my readings, I said he was starting to get maybe some downloads that he wasn't, something could go, like what was happening was not necessarily normal in terms of upheaval of emotion or whatever was happening. And I feel like he was starting to get some sort of downloads that he needs to leave, and he was in fear and he didn't feel as safe as prior. We definitely get here an energy of possibly codependency. And I feel maybe he also started to see the importance of the stepdad and mum in each other's life. Obviously, you might say you mean the mum in the stepdad's life, and he put an ultimatum. Well, I've mentioned in the previous reads something around that, so you could check that out. But I'm trying to remain on Sebastian, and so my reading here is on Sebastian, especially these last 2 cups. You know, it's really yeah, it's about moving away. It's about I've had enough, I'm moving away. And we get this devil energy with it as well, and the devil energy is obviously very negative energy, thoughts, belief. This could have been the abuse, but I think there was a realization of maybe who's important in the household at this stage in time. Maybe like the mother, you know, kind of making it important. It could actually mean that the father is more present at sometimes in December, and that movement card is actually the father, you know, sort of like something needs to be done about this whole situation, which is interesting as well. So there is, because I was feeling it in the energy, there's more to come of this, but it's kind of like there's a regretting of a choice here. But there's also, I really feel like it's Sebastian feeling a bit stuck, and there's fears, and there's, in the household, there's fears, there's avoidance, there's escapism in his energy as well. Okay. So I wouldn't be surprised, by the way, if he didn't attempt to run away in December time. Okay. Well, then certain points in December, he was very much in his energy, and I think this was around his birthday period. But like, for example, you know, if he's gone out for a walk, maybe this is where he'd planned to go out for a walk. I really want to read more on this, but I know that I've promised to keep it at very limited cards, but I feel like there's so much of a story coming through to me here. So I don't know whether to go deeper or to move on. Let's get 2 more cards, because if I disconnect... Yeah, a lot of anxiety in the house. The Justice card is here. You know, these 2 cards we've had where I mentioned very heavy in his energy. There wasn't a balance in the relationship, and there was sleepless nights. There was definitely a polarity of energies, and I wonder if the custody battle started this point in time. The ultimatum could have started during this time as well. I I feel there might be sort of like someone riding on their high horse, and it's probably causing a little bit of fear in the household. Wow. Okay, so there's definitely a heavy betrayal in December. I wonder if at this stage Sebastian had been left out in the cold. Actually, it's interesting, in December, in my last reading, I mentioned the Seven of Cups so that you believe me. I was saying that I wondered if he'd had health issues in December as well, because, and he'd been either in the hospital or, you know, it was a polarity of energies. There was the world around his birthday, but there was definitely something significant in December. And if I look at this energy, I'd probably read more that this could actually show like something really reached a final straw in the camel's back here in December. And I think this is where maybe Sebastian realized who's most important. Something significant happened in December. And I wonder in December if he wanted to spend, this could also be that he wanted to spend, the energies are there in terms of energies of desire and stuff like that. But, and I wouldn't be surprised if talks about those two's lives going forward or in general was starting during that time. How is life going to look? I won't be surprised if Sebastian had actually wanted to stay with his father a bit more but couldn't, and that could have upset him or something like that. But I think there was also some health concerns, and there was definitely something that went down that really felt like a heavy betrayal. I wonder if, come to think of it, wasn't there an occasion sometime where some of them said it was, you know, it was a few months ago, and then they were said it was years ago, and he said he was 15. I actually wonder if this actually happened in December, looking at these energies, because something significant happened in December. So if he said in December, I would actually believe him that it happened in December. I don't mean it's the first off time, but this is a time where it does really mean hit with a belt, because we've got the Justice card here and a big shift. Let's go on to January. January was really good. Yeah, January was really good in the last one. We had the Eight of Wands, and we had not the Sun card. It was another fire card. Might have been the Sun, because I was using a different deck. Here we've got the energy of really feeling vibrant, feeling really good, but there's also still a standoffish energy here. I feel maybe, you know, the mother was a bit stricter during this time. I also wonder if as opposed to December, January is more a routine kind of month. And coming to think of that, when we think of school, probably he started school again in December, and so a lot of it was routine. But I mean, he felt good in January. It was a bit better energy. I know last time I got the Eight of Wands. I got this in December, by the way, the Ten of Wands, King of Wands. So here I see that possibly the stepdad was feeling that maybe Sebastian was becoming a heavy burden, or it could be vice versa. Okay, but here I feel like the mother started taking, speaking up, all right, but there was, you know, I feel like the stepfather started feeling in January Sebastian was a heavy burden. Yes, it was the strength and the eight of wands. It was the strength and the Eight of Wands in the last deck that I got, and this was all about trying to also calm a little bit of his energy, because I feel like he was in a good place. You know, there was a lot of joy as well there, but there was something that I feel that, you know, the stepfather might have felt was a bit of a heavy burden. and yet I feel the mother was kind of like trying to maybe sort of tame that beast a little bit, but also I wonder if also this tied in with Sebastian's energy being very, wanting to be very much on the go. Sort of, what house would it have been? Let's see. January's Capricorn. Yeah, so he might have been quite energetic. He could have been quite getting back into routine, getting back into norm, basically. Here we've still got some movement going on, but I think there is a lot of energy of, you know, it was, although I see that there was a heavy burden, the stepfather was feeling the heavy burden, the mother really was getting boundaries up here, and there was so much about kind of trying to make sure the patience and the straw that kills the camel's back is not done here. But I feel like the stepfather was in an energy of feeling overburdened. I don't know if his custody battle started heating up at this moment in time. I'm not really sure what it is here, but he found Sebastian to be a bit of a heavy burden. Then we go into February and we can see the energies directly change, and this energy keeps coming up. There was a lot of fear and not wanting to see things clearly in February. Now, if you see my readings prior in February, I mentioned about he would have had 3 weeks in February until that very last weekend, you know, around the 24th, 25th, the dynamic of the energy for him would have changed. But, you know, there could have been a bit of upheaval of coping with his mental health and his thoughts. But there's a very much standoffish energy. Now, why I pulled this out is because I did get this and the 8 of Swords in the last reading. This is why I hate to do double readings, because the first one I always feel is the best. But even when we repeat the readings, it's just adding on. And so remembering the first reading is very much, I mean, this is representing it. I had the strength and the eight of wands, a lot of it, communication, movement, and we've got movement here. We didn't have the 10 of wands. I didn't pull an extra card, but there is something about a heavy burden. I mean, there was some pressure that the father was feeling, the stepfather. Here we've got the, you know, fear, not able to make a decision, challenges happening, occurring, not, you know, needing to really step back. And there was a lot of time at home as well in February, I believe. But don't forget, we also have the case coming to light in February, and that's why we'd have mixed energies. Now, I did say, let's just check March, because I thought that would be interesting. And look what we've got. March in the last one brought me a tower moment, the King of Pentacles and the Emperor, which really was it was a tower moment from February reaching into March. And March, everything was towering down. Social media was blowing up. It was all towering down. And here we've got in March the 3 of Swords in reverse, and we've got really what we've been working on, or really, I feel like this is where basically it's about. And then in between that, we saw this card, which was really about conflicts and just someone in very high ego occurring. In all this spread, what I find concerning is I'd very much find this concerning. Okay, this is very concerning, and I'm interested to pull more cards for February, but I know then I lead into the case. And there's March coming in to be concerning. With all this fire energy, to me, it also means that there was a lot of movement, a lot happening, but they seem to have the energy to cope. Apart from the stepfather, I feel was getting overburdened by something, which means he was leading to burnout. But I feel like the mother in this energy really had her boundaries up, not only towards the stepfather, and you know, you can only go this far, or whatever it is. I don't know why I said that, but then also Sebastian, you know, you need to get to bed to this time, the routine, get your homework done, and stuff like that. Now, the 3 of Swords here is not accepting loss. So there's a loss that occurred, and we can see that It's being stuck in grief and sadness. We can see him stuck and what it seems to be like what they've buried. But what's interesting here, is that a bridge? I don't think it's a bridge, but it's weird what that could be. I mean, it could be bridge and water, and there's the land. But there's money here. There's money on this tree, on this area. You know, not seeing the part you've probably played in the loss. Not able to, you can't heal right now because you're not able to, you're stuck in the grief and sadness. And I know some people think the boy, I know I've had comments, the boy didn't stand a chance, but the boy reached 15. So it's not like all his life it's been like that, you know, abusive from the start, like Elijah View. That case really pees me off, because even the family that are coming forward, oh, the loss, I'm not saying they're not, but you knew your daughter was not, or whoever you are, this daughter was not fit to have that kid there. And this is what really pees me off about that case, because it's very clear she was not fit to have that child. It's very clear she didn't have the right people around her. It's very clear she has evil in her. She's not okay. And then everyone comes out when a big thing happens. Oh, we miss, oh, this, or please help us. What did you do when you knew this is not right? So I'm not only talking about state failing here, but I wouldn't be surprised if both of them, especially Jesse, has big convictions and is known for things they do, but also Katrina. Anyway, let's get out of that energy and get back into Sebastian. This card always comes out and it always haunts me. It reminds me of the night. It reminds me of making the way, and also it also always connects me to the flashlights. Okay. I didn't want to say that in a separate read in the read, because I was going to pull this out, and I'm going to also clarify it as we in the timeline. Again, here the arguments, and really the ego kind of taking place within February and March, which wouldn't surprise me. Now, if we pulled more cards, obviously I think the more cards will come out, but I wanted to show you how we are. Let's pull for February anyway, and then in the next one anyway, we're breaking down timelines in the case. For February, let's see what else we get for February, please, Spirit. Because February until like the 25th seems to be okay. So we've got polarities in energy. February. First card was out. I'm not sure if that was in reverse, okay? But the home. Nine of Pentacles in reverse. Secrets, okay. The home is in concern. The Nine of Pentacles here is not being in your best element, not feeling your best. So this could have been the mother, okay. Could have also been Sebastian. I'm getting the mother not in the best energy here. There was a lot of fighting. There's a lot of conflicts going on, and there's also a need for defense here happening in this energy. I wanted to split the deck and I get two cards facing the other right. There we go again. And the Tower happened at night. I mentioned in my first reading about this card, I've mentioned about someone with a very heavy Virgo placement as well. I've mentioned other key things about this card that I was getting from the very second reading, possibly I mentioned. There's your Tower. What comes after the Tower, please, Spirit? What energy comes after the Tower? Temperance, that's Sagittarius energy, and you can't lie, look at that. The Wheel of Fortune. A Hierophant is really probably relating to, it's everything actually. It's relating to, you know, authorities. It's relating to a lot of stuff. But, you know, if I kept pulling cards, I bet you anything the Judgment card comes out. And with the cards I'm seeing, it really goes to sort of that karmic kind of energy. But I don't want to go into the case. I just wanted to show you how energies can be. Again, Temperance. I can explain to you Temperance card, but I feel like this is representing Sebastian. I'm sorry. Then there's Archangel here, and we see the Four of Swords. And again, in the last reading, I think I mentioned in this, I see a mother and a child. The Four of Swords, yes, it's in reverse, but we're doing channeling here. It is where he is, you know, you can see what it shows. But it's also like, it's also, in a normal tarot, this is like you need to take time out to rest, etc. But for me, this is about what was done. But also, he can't quite rest yet until obviously he's found, and the key is into the night, and the Wheel of Fortune will come in. Can you see how many karmic cycle cards we've got in divine timing? No matter what psychic, no matter who does, in divine timing, when God says, which everything is that way, but this is a big in divine timing, but the wheel will turn. The wheel will turn. It's interesting, Spirit wants me to continue reading, but I feel like I'm going to go into the case here. I'm going to pull something from here. And I'm called to another deck as well. Oh, so I promised Sebastian that I'd use this card for him to tell me which animals he wants to come through. So let's do that. Let's lighten the energy like I promised. Spirit is telling me to get an additional card on this. I don't know how many spirits are messing with me. Let's get an additional card. Not having your priorities in place. Yes, arguing about things. Again, so Sebastian is not at the age of knights, etc. So there might be some tarot readers that say he's the Knight of Swords, or not right now, he's the Knight of this, he's Knight of that. I'm connecting it to when I feel there's a Sagittarius energy. And here I feel like there was a lack of balance and stability and priorities in terms of ego. And I think Sebastian could be a bit stubborn, right? But he's a 15-year-old autistic kid. Whoever around him, and let's say here we've got home as a big focus. So arguing and kind of last words in. Does that make sense? I'm going to have the last words in, and this could be, you can imagine who it's probably, who I'm talking about that it's with. And the Two of Pentacles, again, it's really about, you know, that I'm getting taken back to the beginning of the read where I said a lot of balance and harmony was needed around him in terms of his life. But here it's kind of really a lot about disharmony and not prioritizing the right things. You're just so out of balance. And that could have been also his energy, where I've said, you know, in February, he could have gone through the energies of the astrology would have affected him. And so when you're hit with this energy as well, it's not a good balance. Told to split the deck, and we've got the Two of Swords, which we've got here. Fear, not... Hi everyone, the video did stop, but I more or less got to the end of this. I promised I'd get some spirit animals for Sebastian. Sorry for the layout, but I've already taken everything down, and I'm going to show you what we get. Right, so this is what he wants to come through. And any messages I'm going to channel, okay? Okay. So the first one I can see is the hummingbird, which is really, really interesting. And there's one blocking the camera, which is cat. If you can see it, cat. So this is about cat. I'm just going to move the camera so you can see it. Hummingbird, polar bear, and the hawk, the messenger. The first two are very powerful. So let's look here, and then I can see when the camera is about to fall off, drop off because of the storage. I've got to send stuff out that I've recorded. Hummingbird miracles. For the hummingbird, for me, is also around the throat chakra. And if you know, I was struggling with the throat chakra at the beginning. Now, this is about the need for people to speak up that has information. This is also then you, Sebastian, you've chosen these animals, but I think you also need to know that you were a joy bringer. You are a joy bringer. And miracles in your case are about to happen. I'm just getting that. Hawk the messenger, you know, spirit is sending us messages. I've mentioned about people that need to speak up. And, you know, we need to pay attention to those messages. They might be very subtle. The cat is independent, yet the cat is always seen as quite psychic. The witches always have cats, don't they? Did someone also say that Sebastian likes cats? Because he's chosen this out of this deck here. So cat has come through, you know, something about also independence, and you know there was that alone energy, wasn't there? Yeah, and spirit has brought me back to, can you remember when I said in one of my first readings, 1 or 2, and I think it's the first, I said that I could see in one of Sebastian's eyes anger. And spirit just said to me, look at the eyes. Can you remember what you said? And then here we've got the polar bear. Now the polar bear is also quite a mystic shamanic energy. And it says, know that challenge make you stronger. So here it's about facing the adversity. And through time, and again, some messages that are coming through are hints, but there's too much noise around this case. I don't think we can hear them. This could be a message for me. This could also be relating to where I said I think Sebastian started to get hits, that, you know, maybe he wasn't as safe as what he thought he would be, because, you know, you never think your parental guardians are gonna maybe turn on you, or whatever it is. It could just be neglect, but you know what I mean. Or it could be that, you know, so what I mean, he was just getting those downloads, wasn't he? That, why can't I say this right now? I've mentioned it. He was getting downloads. If we go back to December's energy in my previous reads, something shifted for him. And maybe that's when he thought, let me go to my dad's. Now, again, Spirit is telling me, look at this Pentacle card, which is interesting, where I said about the burial and money. So I wonder if there's a payout involved here. But I'm going to leave it here, folks. And anything else I get, I'll let you know. I didn't know I went on for an hour and 10 minutes. And now this should be around an hour and 10 minutes, maybe 15. Depending on when I edit it. So I hope this one you enjoyed, all about Sebastian. Take care, stay blessed, and bye for now.